When I think to myself that I did it all wrong in business, I guess one thing that kind of fills me with a little bit of encouragement is the fact that there's people who have done it way worse than I did. And I'm getting ready to share with you a unbelievable story of trials and tribulations and absolute asinity, I guess is a good way to word it. Folks, let me share an image with you real quick. Obviously, what you're looking at right here is a police bust. We're seeing a lot of money. We see some pills right there. What is that, a Rolex? Is that a freaking, some ice? Look at that chain in the upper left corner. We got 3 guns, one of which being a freaking, an AK-47 right there. Then we got some promethazine. We got lean as well. How much money do you think that is right there? Those are stacks right there. I mean, if every stack is $1,000, that's, quite a bit of cash right there. So while you look at that, let me share with you this story that just happened 2 days. No, it happened earlier this month. I guess they're just now sharing about this. This happened in my state, in the state of Virginia. On November the 5th, our Southeast Service Area Crime Reduction Unit, the CRU, officers conducted a traffic stop near the 800 block of Eldridge Street for whatever that's worth. For a window tint violation. You got pulled over for window tint and they found all this up in the whip? Obviously you was doing something right, if not absolutely illegal, but you was certainly doing something right because you got pulled over with a ton of cash. What if you owed this money to the plug? What if this was your re-up money? If you owed this money, your life may be in danger right now. During the traffic stop and search of the vehicle, I don't know what would cause the officers to search the vehicle. They might have been smoking a blunt. Maybe they could smell something, What if nothing was taking place, though? They say the Crime Reduction Unit, the CRU officers conducted a traffic stop. Obviously, this was a controlled buy right here, right? Not necessarily that per se, but obviously the police were watching these folks, and now it's time to frickin' carry out the bust, right? They're leaving from the trap. Pull them over because they got window tint. But what if the car was clean? There was no reason to search the vehicle. Then what is your probable cause? Because if you don't have a good probable cause, all of this evidence that you're showing right here could easily end up in a loophole with an illegal search and seizure. How wild would that be? But I'm quite certain that the officers ain't going to let that go down. They might have lit up a blunt themselves as soon as they pulled over the car. Could you imagine getting pulled over by the police, by the CRU? They know just like you know how freaking dirty you are. But that car smells like one of those tree air fresheners. Your car smells like a freaking air freshener that you get from the car wash. It's that clean. The cop pulls up beside, he comes up to the window. Sir, do you know why I pulled you over? All the while, that cop is lighting up a blunt. You're sitting in the driver's seat, complete shock and awe, like, what is this officer doing? He's sparking up a doobie. And then he just tosses that shit in your lap. What's that smell? Is that marijuana you're smoking? Step out of the goddamn vehicle. Listen, man, the cops is dirty. When they catch you with all this, you ain't gonna beat this. And you're probably going federal. During the traffic stop, the search of the vehicle, officers located and seized 3 firearms, 2 bottles of promethazine. I'm trying to sing this like the 25 Days of Christmas. A baby bottle containing promethazine residue, 655 oxycodone pills, 11 grams of suspected marijuana, and approximately $44,400. They said that they seized $44,000. If you look at that picture right there, we might got like half of that in this picture. Or maybe that is $44,000. But it probably was a hell of a lot more than that. Digital scales and a rolling tray. As a result of the traffic stop, 3 individuals was in the car. And they was all charged. Felony conspiracy, possession with intent to sell and deliver marijuana, possession of a Scheduled 5 controlled substance, trafficking opium or heroin. You are going federal. You're going to get football numbers. You're going to have to plea out to a 2K5, Madden 2K5 plea deal, whatever they call that shit. Carrying a concealed weapon. Where are we going to talk about this AK-47? Who's getting charged with that? The second individual got felony conspiracy, possession with intent to sell or deliver marijuana, trafficking opium or heroin, resist, delay, obstruct. All three of them should have had that. What if the driver was in on it? Oh shit, hey, the blue lights, fellas, we're going down. How come the first person? He don't got no resist, delay, and obstruct, but the second two people do. Third person, felony conspiracy, possession with intent to sell, deliver, Schedule 2 controlled substance, maintaining a vehicle or dwelling or place for controlled substances. Buddy got a trap house charge. And then resist, delay, obstruct. What did Luigi write on those bullets? It wasn't that. That shit sounds like a freaking merch right there. Resist, delay, obstruct. New After Prison Show merch? Maybe. This is a powerful reminder of how everyday enforcement efforts and proactive policing can yield major results. Let me tell you something. This was not just your average traffic stop. To get all that, you already know. Somebody told something. Somebody who got pulled over in that car was possibly in on this. And, yeah, man, you are going federal. Crazy to think. House plan says they confiscate a strawberry Fanta. Yeah, it probably had the lean in it is why they did that. All of those sodas probably had lean in it. Can you imagine being leaned out in that situation? Oh, my God. You go to interrogation, you tell on yourself. Can you get off on that because you were under the influence? Grumpy old man says first guy probably didn't feel like running and the others ran. Listen, man, in a situation like that, you better run. And if you don't run, I don't give a damn. What are you, too lazy to run? The only way that doesn't happen, the only way that you don't run in that situation is if they pull up and they block that driver's side door. Because if you don't run, you the police. I want to share a story that happened in my worser years. In relation to running, you run for way less. Like when you about that life, and I don't mean that to sound like any kind of gangster like TTG, but when you are in the streets and you are up to no freaking good and your life has been in and out of jails and prisons, you freaking run. You don't stop. You don't yield. You run. And if you don't run, because when I got pulled over and I did my 7 years, even though I didn't run per se, I started to try to. But I knew I wasn't going to get away, and I thought I was smart enough to outsmart the police by sending the girl to the hospital with the drugs and the gun, which that didn't work out for me. But let me share another story with you of a way lesser time when I ran. I had just gotten out of prison for the very first time. I don't know if I've shared this story. If I have, it's only shared it like once, so a lot of you probably never heard. I just got out of prison for the very first time. I only did 18 months my first time, so you couldn't tell me shit. I came home ready to get right back to it. And I did. Right back into trying to sell drugs, trying to be in the streets, all of that. I knew I wasn't going to amount to shit. I bought this little hoopty piece of shit car. It was a Honda Civic. No, it was a Honda CR-V hatchback. So anyways, this thing didn't have no good tags, no good inspection sticker. I think the tags were good. I think the inspection sticker was bad. So this one day, I was getting off of work. I wasn't driving the car to work. It was sitting at my dad's house. And I wanted to take the car to GameStop. I wanted to go buy me a PS3. I wanted that new game that had just come out, Scarface. That was a dope-ass game. I don't know why they didn't do more with that. Like, you want to talk about a video game that was just the absolute shit, something that rivaled GTA? It was Scarface. You was literally selling drugs in that game. Like, that shit was wild. I wanted to go to GameStop. I wanted to buy the PS3. I wanted to get the game. But something told me, Joe, don't do it. But you know me, I do everything against my better judgment. So as I start driving down the street, the windshield wipers just mysteriously turned on by themselves. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. Like, how the frick the windshield wipers just turn on by themselves? Because I had the windshield wiper strategically set right above the inspection sticker that was bad. So anyways, I had to pull over. I had to fix the windshield wiper, like make it back where it was. So anyways, I'm driving down the street. I got this bad inspection sticker. I'm going to go buy this PlayStation, whichever one it was, a PS2, PS3. So I get to it's a stoplight that leads into where the GameStop was, and it's a 4-way intersection. Right in front of me, I can see the cop right in front of me going, he's in front of me. I'm facing him, so I'm like, God bless. I know he's looking at this inspection sticker, but he's like, 20 yards away, so I'm like, he probably don't see this shit. But I'm watching him like a freaking hawk. So the light turns green. I get the green arrow, so I start to turn in. I'm watching him. He's still staying right where he's at. And then all of a sudden, as fate would have it, blue lights magically appear from behind me. I'm like, man, what the fuck? I didn't even see. Behind me was an unmarked. I'm getting pulled over. I just got off of work. I just got out of prison. All I'm trying to do is go buy a PlayStation. But let me tell you, I am not up to no good. In fact, I am knee deep in the no good. I am so knee deep in the no good that I can't fathom this traffic stop getting ready to take place. Anyways, I'm getting pulled over. I can't take this traffic stop. So I pull over in a strategic location in this piece of shit because I'm ready to run. Man, I pulled over, and as soon as I pulled over, I cracked open that door. I put one foot out, and that cop pulled in so tight on that driver's side door and was like, don't run, you ain't got to go nowhere. But he was still giving me the benefit of the doubt, knowing damn well I was about to run. I was about to shit and get. Man, this cannot happen. And it's not because I got a freaking no driver's license. Oh no, I got way worse. I got a body in the trunk. Did I ever tell you this story when I had the body in the trunk? Yo, so listen to me. I get pulled over. If this cop is ever watching this, he's going to feel like the biggest dummy in the world. And that's not my intention. I got away. I got away with a real life freaking body in the trunk. Okay, hear me out on this. So he jumps out the car. Yo, you ain't got to run. You ain't got to run. What's the deal? Why are you trying to run? I'm like, sir, I don't have a driver's license. I said, I'm literally just going to GameStop to buy me a PlayStation. I just got off of work. He says, man, I don't care about that. You ain't got no driver's license? I'm like, yeah, buddy, but this is like my third or my fourth. He's like, man, tell you what, let me just run your name. I'll be right back. So he go back to the car. Now he got my ID. Now I really can't run. I don't give a damn about my third or fourth habitual freaking driving on a revoked license. That shit don't mean nothing to me. What means everything to me is what's in the trunk of this freaking hatchback. So he comes back. He's like, yeah, you don't got no license, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get you to get somebody to come pick this car up. You don't drive it. I'm going to give you a ticket for this and or a charge, but I ain't going to take you to jail. He says, oh, and by the way, they got to throw this in here. You don't got no marijuana in the car, do you? I said, no, sir, officer. You can search it if you want to. See, I'm trying to hit him with the reverse psychology. But that shit didn't work for me. He said, you know what? I think I'm going to take you up on that offer. Step out the vehicle. Now I'm really sweating bullets. Because if he looks in this hatchback, it is game over for me. Game over. So he starts searching the front seat. He starts searching the back seat. He pulls out a pair of board shorts. Now, here's the crazy thing about the board shorts. In the pocket of the board shorts, there was something. But he ain't even mess with it. He didn't notice it. He didn't grab on it. He just picked up the pair of board shorts. And he says, at this point, I'm ready to run and just take the freaking warrant, the fugitive warrant. Because I know I'm going to jail, but for whatever reason, I'm at the casino, proverbially, and I'm all in on this situation. This man is about to go into the hatchback from inside on the back seat. He's got those board shorts in his hands, and he says, you know what? There's nothing in this car. Meanwhile, I don't even know how I had the poker face on the entire time. Because on the inside, I was a man apart. I was already in the next parking lot, proverbially in my mind. I'm hopping fences. I'm running the route. So let me tell you what was in this car, right? He comes back with my ticket, and I'm just like, oh my God, man. I cannot believe he did not search this car. In the back was over a pound of fake magic mushrooms. I don't know if you guys remember, Joe was I I was the man when it came to those magic mushrooms, the fake ones, that is. And in the board shorts was like an eighth of those fake mushrooms. So there was a whole body in the back. Look, this would have put me under the jail. Now, to be fair, I don't even think that these things were bagged up except for the eighth. But that would have been enough to give me BWID. It doesn't even have to be real. It just has to be presented as real. And boy, would I learn that valuable lesson. But yeah, man, that man came that close to the bust of his life. He probably was a beat cop who could have been made to a frickin', DEA after that. That legitimately was a routine traffic stop that could have turned into so much more. And he was that close. Oh, you almost got him. But he got away. So, funny story about all of that. One final story. The shiitakes, you better bet it. You better bet it was the shiitakes out of the... You know what? I'm going to do a tutorial video on that for old time's sake. I think I went to the Asian grocery store where I used to get those from. But, yeah, I want to show those to you guys, man. A polar grizzly bear says, what are board shorts? Like surfing shorts. Like a swimsuit. Not booty shorts. Board shorts. So here's the deal. I did get a driving on a suspended charge for that. I ended up going to court and they gave me community service. At this point, I'm so, just back to the streets and, piece of shit, whatever. My father has long since kicked me out of his house. I'm renting a room from some old woman who, this was almost like House of a Thousand Corpses type shit. She had like 3 other guys renting rooms. Ironically, I've talked about this guy, Richard, and the fact that he was in this halfway house that had these SOs in there. I think about these people who were in who were in this trailer that she lived in, and I rented a room, and there was like 2 or 3 other guys that rented rooms too. I didn't never know those guys. But now when I look back on it, I question whether or not maybe they wore, and they probably frickin' wore. But anyways, I was renting a room from this lady. She was like adamant on me not having women over there. She actually caught me with a woman over there one time, and she made this massive deal out of the situation. It was a very screwed up situation. So I ended up getting kicked out. When I got kicked out, I left a bag of those fake mushrooms in her house, and I forgot about it. And it was a bag. It was a freaking Ziploc bag. So we were doing community service, cleaning up trash on the side of the road. On the weekends, that was what I got sentenced to for that driving charge, where they almost found all of those mushrooms. And the deputy who was assigned to watch over us came into the van at the end of the day. He was like, oh, and by the way, when we get done, the detectives want to speak to one of y'all. And I remember this guy, I don't know his name, but he was like, yeah, Joe, they probably want to talk to you. Hey, Jay Smooth. Hey, they probably want to talk to you, Jay Money. Can't remember exactly what my alias was then, but it was something. I'm like, man, they don't want to talk to me. I'm not doing nothing. Sure as shit, we get done, and each one of us is getting checked off of the van. Okay, you're good to go. Nothing else. And at this point, we're like right in front of the police station, and the detectives are standing right there. And I'm one of the last people to go, and as soon as they released me, they were like, Mr. Guerrero. I'm like, what the man, what the? I ain't even do nothing. So they take me into the interrogation room, and this was the only time in my life I was a badass in interrogation. I've only been interrogated twice. The first time, I had no win. I admitted that I did what I did, which was took some money from a guy. I've told that story before. But this time, they don't got nothing on me. And I don't know what this is for, which is also scary because this could be for anything. So they take me into the interrogation room, and they start asking me about the trailer that I was staying at. I'm like, yeah, what about it? They were like, hey, did you leave something in one of the drawers in one of those rooms that you rented? And I was like, oh, shit, I did. I did leave a bag of mushrooms in there that was probably like a zip. Probably like a little onion. A little ouncy do. Probably a little 28 grams is what that son of a bitch was. I wonder if they put it on the scales. So they were like, did you leave something in one of the drawers in the room that you were staying in? And I sat there for a minute and I had to think about it. And I guess during my pause, he interjected and he said, yeah, I've got a friend in the DEA who's really interested in talking to you. And at that point, I just busted out laughing. I was like, I said, man, I surely hope for your sake, you haven't sent these to him. I said, are you talking about those shiitake cooking mushrooms? I said, is that what you're talking about? And he was like, what do you mean? I said, have you sent them to the lab for like any kind of test? Like, I don't even know if you can test mushrooms to tell if they're psychedelic. Can you do that? I don't know what the test for a mushroom would be to be able to know if it was a philosophical, like what's the word for it? There's a word for those magical mushrooms. I can't pronounce it even if you put it in the chat. I'm in interrogation, man, and Buddy's telling me about this ounce of mushrooms they found in this house. Talking about he got a friend in the DEA who's going to be real interested to speak to me. I said, listen, man, for your own sake, for the sake of your freaking career, I don't know what you do here as a detective. Are you like narcotics? I said, because if you are, I thought you'd be better than that. Are you insinuating that you think that bag of mushrooms you found in that old bag's house were some kind of a way psychedelic? So what the fuck is this, Woodstock? I mean, what do you think that I am here? I said, listen. I said, those are shiitake mushrooms that you cook food with. He said, well, why you got them bagged up? I said, why wouldn't I have them bagged up? I like to eat them as a snack. You know, they had to let me walk up out of there. And they took my phone number down, so I figured that they tapped my phone. I was like, yo, this was the one time in my life that I was like, yo. And I guess at that point, Jeezy had just come out with that song, The Feds Is Listening. So every time I'm on the phone, I hear like this static and this crackle. And I'm like, yo, man, we got to carry this shit like that movie Casino. Meet me in the desert and talk with your hand over your mouth. They watching us. I was a badass. Nothing ever came of that, though, ironically. Thank God. They're probably watching this right now, looking through their freaking books of charges for statutes of limitations. This was 30 years ago, so do with it what you will. Yeah, man. I just like to eat them shits. I don't know about a mushroom, a magical mushroom. And so what? It weighed 28 grams precisely, 29 with the bag. Oh, man. And then I really wanted to go back to that lady's house and be like, yo, you tried to get me locked up? That ain't cool.